use. They have less weight than a certificate of lawful use, and they are, I'll come to that one, Andrew, and they are only really tell you what the use was at the time that the council reckoned they could not enforce against. That's what EUCs do. If in doubt, always get a certificate of lawful use to back them up, and that should be relatively straightforward. In terms of GDPR, they have the same criteria as any other type of application in the planning system, with the one exception that they're all going to be very old. They came out of fashion in the 1980s, and because they fell out of fashion in the 1980s, replaced by the certificate of lawful use, they're all going to be microfiche. So it's going to be a difficult ask even for a council to get that data for you. Right. Andrew, a proposal to turn it as a casemate for was dropped for being too expensive. By the end of the 19th century, the tower had gained a new significance as a defence against raids of fast torpedo boats. It was used it was used in both the First and Second World War. The fabric was substantially altered to support new quick-firing guns. Oh, it had QFs on it. That's nice. It was decommissioned in 1956 and remains derelict today. The tower has been privately owned since 2005 and was reportedly sold to a new owner in 2014 for £400,000. It sounds incredibly interesting, Andrew, and one that I'm sure we at our sister company, Heritage England, and yes, we have got the company name Heritage England, would be happy to talk to you about. Drop me an email on it, and I'll send it over to Emma Morby, and she can talk to you all about a tower that had been used by a fast torpedoed boat defence. It sounds fascinating. Half an hour in this time. Nitrates. I know. You've been so patient, Ian. I'm amazed. PCC allege they have an agreement for the £200 a dwelling compensating the 3 year camp, blah, 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 and claim it will be rolled out next week. Yes, I have seen the same thing. Haven't had the draft section 106. Seems they're not using Grampian and relying on guidance notes at the end of approvals. Looks less legally binding. Right. A section 106 is more legally binding than a Grampian condition. Grampian conditions are seldom ever acceptable, and are only ever acceptable if both parties agree and one party promises the other party not to appeal it. Section 106 is the right way of doing it. They have been promising us the wording. I saw an email from Simon Turner, who's one of the seniors, this week that says we'll have that wording early part of next week. They've been caught out by Easter. But yes, that is well underway now as far as we at TPX are concerned, and could become the standpoint for everyone else. Certainly a better solution than haven't, who are just taking a contribution and applying conditions. Gavin, excellent question. Will COVID affect housing delivery targets, particularly as the big companies will probably proceed in safety mode, as small developers usually deliver quickly? Do you think new build applications will be looked on with a more positive mindset? I don't think it'll affect the broader housing delivery target. And the reason why I say that is because the chief planner, the outgoing chief planner at DCLG, told the councils to get on with it. They were told very clearly they needed to make sure they were still delivering on planning applications and proposals. So I don't think COVID-19 is going to be an issue. Councils have had many, many years to put their systems in place for home working. It's been around for a long, long time. The fact that they haven't is not an excuse. There will be a slowdown, we know that, but I don't think the housing delivery targets will change. And what I can foresee is a lot of councils will very much fall outside of their 100% target this year, which will drag them down for the next 2 years, effectively. So watch the 2020 HDT, Housing Delivery Test reporting, which will come out in December. I think that will tell the tale. Darren. So, okay, I'm trying to get planning on an old vet with a 3-bed flat above into an 8-bed HMO with 85 square metre mansard on the second floor. PCC want to charge me still for the 85 square metres, as they say it's not attached to the C3 flat, as I'm taking part of the rear shop for the communal area. Are they correct? Yes. The 100 square metre exemption only applies to an extension to an existing dwelling where you are truly extending that dwelling. If you wanted to take advantage of that exemption, Darren, you should have applied for the extension to the dwelling, the mansard first. Yes, got that, and then applied for the change of use second. I think you've done it in the wrong order, and in so doing, you have opened yourself up to SIL. SIL is often encountered when you're doing it in the wrong order, and I've seen so many people caught out by doing it in the wrong order. You should have applied for the mansard first as an extension to the dwelling, or got it into a C4 and then applied for it as an extension to a dwelling. Trying to tickle your sweet spot. Everyone has been trying to tickle my sweet spot for some reason. I have no idea why. I think they're all weird. We love nitrate. Yes, we do. It's excellent plant fertilizer, except when you have a hot tub when it makes everything go green. Harvey. Hi, Harvey. Hi, Harvey. If you're watching back on Dave, otherwise known as YouTube, you've changed your trim. What do you mean I've changed my trim? He's watching. Hi, Harvey. Lovely to see you. Your dad told me great things about you, and keep going. Keep going in this world of development. It's a job for life, and you'll really get a lot out of it. I hope that helped, Andrew. You can buy me a beer later. Right, we are 39. I didn't mean that last bit, Harvey. 39 minutes in, nearly 20 minutes to go. Ian Knight waited until half an hour in before starting to talk about nitrates, and in reality it took me another 5 minutes to get there. Right. Come on, guys, questions. This is the Easter special. This is the one before Good Friday. This is the last piece of work I do before I disappear off and go and enjoy some time off, because oh boy do we need it, apparently. Time off apparently we haven't had enough of. And Andrew, just so you know, I have just had your email. So thank you very much for that. I will forward that to my colleague Emma, and Emma can advise you on it. And I'm just doing that. There we go. Off it goes. I'll send it to the email address I know that works for Emma. There we go. Lovely. All done. Marvellous. Yeah. Phil. Hi. I read an application the other day, and the DAS access statement, they really pushed the fact that they were going to be owner-occupiers of the dwelling. Surely your weight is given to this. Phil, massive weight is given to that. It's called self-building. Self-builders have an exemption to SIL. They have a requirement in the Planning Act that all councils must allocate 3% of their housing land to self-builders. Councils must find housing land for self-builders. Massive weight is applied to the self-builder revolution at the moment. So don't knock a self-builder site. If you're in an expensive SIL area, then do self-builder development, because you exempt yourself from SIL. And it can be really expensive if you get that wrong. Looking at a site on the wrong side of a settlement boundary in Havant Borough Council's area, what's the chance of any more new build sites being granted? Probably a 40 to 50 housing site. Okay, Dan, great question. Nitrates aside, I would refer you to Havant's housing delivery report for this. You can find it. Just Google housing delivery test. I don't know the figures off the top of my head, and I'm not going to look them up now because I'm going to point you at it. You want them to be below 75%. Okay, 75% or less, That means they are vulnerable to such applications. Okay, and they would have a hard time as long as it met the tests of sustainable development arguing against it. 76% or above, they're less vulnerable. And you would need to go through the local plan process in order to get that to work. But reality is, have a look at the housing delivery test. Dawn, hi Dawn. We've got a detached bungalow that is our residential home at the moment. We're looking to split it into 4 studio apartments. Can we message you directly for advice? Yes, of course you can, Dawn. Go to our website, www.tpexpert.org, and fill in a quick check form. That's the way we accept advice inquiries coming in, gets you into our system, and means you will get the benefit of the 30-minute free advice that we're offering during the COVID-19 thing that we're in, issues, zombie apocalypse. Yeah, do it that way. tpexpert.org, click on the quick check button, that will get you there. Helen is happy to help as well. I know Keith, when he's not, trying desperately to not enjoy himself, can do that too. Phil, never knew that. I haven't been on here for a while, so I haven't been able to tell you all these lovely things. What conditions do they apply to make sure it's not sold? So normally on the self-builder, to get the exemption, it's a 3-year condition. So what they will do, it won't be a condition on the planning application, it'll be a land charge. They will say that if the property is sold in 3 years, then CIL is payable at the rate CIL is currently payable. So whatever the rate is for CIL, on basis that it rises with inflation every single year. If it's not sold or sold on in that 3-year period, if it's retained after the 3 year, the land charge falls away. But it's normally dealt with as a land charge. It's not dealt with using any other mechanism. Okay, and that's the most effective way, because land charges, they will always be caught, and then the council can go after the CIL. Helen's going to help Dawn. Excellent. Dawn is happy. Fabulous. 15 minutes to go. Planners question time. And it's Easter. We like Easter. I never used to like Easter, but we sort of like Easter now. I'm looking forward to spending some time with the family and chilling out in the garden. Now the garden's all sorted. And I'm seeing Zachary tomorrow, my youngest, which is absolutely wonderful. Give him an Easter egg, make sure he's happy, all is good in my world. Right, let's have some final questions, please. We've got 45 minutes left, so that normally is enough for 5 or 6 questions. So let's have some more questions from you guys. Don't forget that this is being broadcast live on Facebook in the Property Expert community by TPX, the only place on Facebook where you get 100% of our attention 100% of the time. And for those who are watching this back on Dave/YouTube, I'm recording it for you. So that will appear on YouTube probably tomorrow as the recording of PQTs. That means you guys always get it first. Questions, please. It can't be that difficult to come up with a question. It really, really can't. It's one of those things. The creaking you hear in the background is probably a 13-year-old making his way up or down the stairs. Gavin says, I would imagine if it was sold just after the 3 years, it would raise a flag with HMRC, who would look on it as a trade and VAT-free one, and a VAT-free one at that, possibly. No problem, Darren. I'm really pleased you've enjoyed PQTs and the daily chats. The daily chats are going to still happen. I'm going to take a couple of days off over the next 3 days, and then I will be back on Tuesday for more daily banter. So don't forget to post your questions on that permanent thread that I've got on the group. Whack your questions in there, and we'll start answering them again as and when we get them. So please utilize the community as much as you possibly can, because that's why we've built it. We've built it as the anti-guru community. We don't want any hyperbole in here. Ian. Hi, Ian. Is there a percentage of floor that needs to stay A1 if using Class M for the rear of the site in a suburban mini parade? That's a bloody good question, Ian. What you have to demonstrate is that the use will persist even after the conversion has occurred. Now, most councils haven't got the foggiest what that means, and will try and come up with something. There are two really effective ways you can do that. You either, one way we've done it is have a lease agreement with an end user ready to go that says we will take this on, and we've done that a couple of times up and down the country, and it's worked very, very well. Or you use agents data. Now you can go to a really amazing website called the Requirement List, requirementlist.com. That will give you a list, and the free one has the top 5 on it, but that will give you a list of commercial companies, of commercial entities seeking commercial space right now in your area. You can utilize that as a guidance point for whether or not you're aiming at the right size of property. I can justify them down to about 30 square meters, 300 square foot in old money. I can't normally get it below that. Phil, do you have a highway consultant you can recommend? I have 2 in the south, Paul Basham Associates, in the Midlands, Mode Transport, both absolutely amazing, and working with both on a number of different projects. They are both superb. Great set of questions. We're really rocking through them today. That's brilliant. 10 minutes to go. As you can tell, my voice is starting to waver. That's not COVID-19. Don't worry, I'm not about to die. No, I'm seriously not about to die. The matter of fact is that I've just come off the back of 3 hours with White Box Masterminders on a video conferencing call. Would you have any suggestions regarding expiring planning due shortly in 4 months regarding alternative strategies to use whilst awaiting extension from central government decision if it happens? Right, that extension part has already happened. So the COVID bill includes provisions to extend the period of time for expiring planning permissions, Chris. So that's already in. Helen is well up on that. So pinch Helen's knowledge on that, because she's read that bill backwards and sideways, and I believe takes it to bed with her as her bedtime reading. In terms of alternative strategies, you could, as an alternative, smack a planning application in. 4 months is more than sufficient time for the planning authority to determine the second application. So to essentially resubmit that application to get the benefit of additional time instead, that would be equally acceptable as well. And the beauty is you're relying on an extant planning permission. You're relying on something that's still alive. Pinching already, Helen Morris Ruffle. There we go. I'm sure Helen will enjoy some more contact from Chris Lim. I hope you're well, mate. I hope things up in the West Midlands are doing excellently for you. Right, 9 minutes of me time left, and then I'm going to have some proper me time with the wife and chill out for the rest of the day. I do need to do that. There's a hammock in the garden with my name on it. And if you've emailed me in the last few minutes, good luck. That's not going to get answered. Right, questions please. We've got 8 minutes left, and that's enough normally for about 4 or 5 questions, so let's really bash through them. We can do this, peeps. We really, really can. I can't believe we've been talking for 50 odd minutes. It's brilliant. If you think there are people who can benefit from being in this community, then please get them to join. This community now has 800 people in it, which is amazing for a community we originally set up just to provide additional support for our pen. There you go, Chris. You've just had the answer from Helen. Apply for the extension of time. What are the big plans for 2020 when we get going? Oh, excellent question. Right. I'm really excited that you've asked that. Very, very simply, we're going to carry on with the Anti-Guru series on Facebook, on YouTube. That isn't stopping. We've got more podcasts to record for the planning game. That isn't stopping either. Now we've restarted that. I've got the taste for it and we're absolutely going to continue doing it. Property Expert Network is going to continue and in an online mode. We've actually had more fun and more success doing it online than we ever have doing it face to face. And so we are going to change and grow with the times. Property Expert Network becomes a 100% free event and goes online. We're hoping that we'll be running our mini camp in July. That will be after the lockdown effectively ends, which will be wonderful. That's fully booked up now. Amazing. I'm so pleased so many people are coming on mini camp. And if they get as much out of boot camp as the people who did on boot camp, then they're really going to enjoy themselves. We've got some big names coming on mini camp this year. We've got boot camp next year as well. So, and not forgetting the developments we're doing. That's what's big for TPX in 2020. Hi Ian, how does the council GBC work out the value of the dwelling if looking to on-site affordable? We're proposing 12 one-bed town centre flats. Value is approximately 100k, and GBC want 300,000. They use the all-in cost of build index, Ian, which is why you're probably getting skewed. The all-in cost of building index will be very much down, I reckon. No, I'm not going to reckon. You should be able to get it from CIRA, Construction Industry Research Agency, or REBA, but the all-in cost of build index for southeast England for affordable is £180 a square foot at the moment. So that's what the council will be seeking. The values don't calculate against reality; they calculate against the all-in, and it's something as a REBA architect should be able to get hold of for you. If you want to go on the face-to-face, get yourself on the waiting list, buddy, because there is one. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Chris asks, with planning applications refused on the reasons of characteristics of the building of the neighbour, would resubmitting the development to matching local homes make it work, or can they put more refusal conditions on afterwards? Right, they are stuck now. There is a whole raft of law about consistency in decision making. They can only change something if you change something major. So in reality, if you're applying for the same number of homes, right, and you're just changing the design and everything else remains the same, then they are stuck with that one design reason, Chris. I hope that helps you. 4 minutes of John time left. It is Planners Question Time. We do it free, live and direct in our group, the TPX Property Expert Community. We hope you're getting real value from the community. I'd love to know from you guys what more we can do to support you. I want to know how we can be more valuable to you. We've been using the hashtag LoveYourTPX for the last week or so. We want to know how we at TPX can show you guys more love, how we can show you give you more value. That's what we want to do. We don't charge for any of this. This is free. It's free advice. Do with it what you will. And I hope you get real value from this weekly sojourn into the planning system that we do. Right, we have 3 minutes left. There's time for one more question. So who is going to give us our final thought for the day? Let's have a good one, please, because after this, you've not got me for 3 days. I'm disappearing off for 3 days into the shed from where I will not return. So I'd like a really good question to finish on. Really good question. Chris says it's not any of the sites that we previously discussed. It's something new. I think that's one for you and Helen to sit down over a virtual coffee, Chris, or whatever. Phil, what is the visibility distance required on a 40-mile-an-hour road? It is 30 miles an hour is 43 meters. 40 miles an hour, I think, is 72 meters. But have a look in Manual for Streets because that has the table inside of it. You're looking for the sight stopping distance. Nathaniel asks a question. Did the Schlar stop in 2014? No, it didn't. The Schlar continues and it's there for every cycle of the local plan. It's the Strategic Housing Land Availability Assessment. Many other names for the same thing. It could be a HELAR, it could be HLAR, it could be anything. But it didn't stop in 2014. It just might be the case that your council's one was last done in 2014. They haven't updated it yet. They do some extra thing considering that's the Housing and Economic Land Availability Assessment. That's just a repackaged title of the same thing, Nathaniel. Read it as such. It's still there to help identify the housing land they need in your area. I hope that helps. Wow. I don't know about you, but I'm knackered. That is nearly, it's just eking its away. It's nearly 2 o'clock. It's nearly time to end. It's nearly time for me to go and get a gin and tonic. Right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me over the last 3 weeks for the resurgence of Planners Question Time and for the daily updates. That's been absolutely brilliant doing that again. I've really, really enjoyed doing it. And it's really lovely to do it in our own community, in our own group, in our own world inside of Facebook. As I said, it is 2 o'clock now, so that's the end. We're ringing the bell, we're knocking the door, it's all done. But if you think that this is of value to people, then please tell them to come and join us in this community. Please do. For those of you watching on YouTube, just down here, for those on Facebook, just down here. For those of you watching on YouTube, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of PQTs. It's the first one I've ever done where I've recorded it specifically for the YouTube lot. Have a great Easter, everyone. A peaceful, safe, relaxing bank holiday. I will see you on Tuesday. Stay well, stay safe. Have a good one.